Hello my dear friends, I hope you all are doing good. This is Prashant Mauni and I warmly welcome all of you to StudyIQ. Dear friends, the topic that we have today is Telecom Sector Crisis in India. And now you can imagine that even for a couple of hours, if our data connection or mobile phone is not working for any sort of technical reason, then you can understand that it will put our life in a situation of doldrum. Now imagine if the whole telecom sector is in doldrum. That means if it is bleeding, then it is of course going to have a very negative impact on our economy, as well as it will also, you can say, choke the whole development of our country. Today we are going to discuss in detail regarding this sector, but before moving ahead, I would like to introduce very briefly to all of you our pen drive and tablet courses for different exams. StudyIQ provides you with different pen drive and tablet courses. The good news is that at present, dear friends, Children's Day sale is going on, and you get up to 35% off on different pen drive and tablet courses. I'm sure you want to know more about it. All you have to do is check out StudyIQ.com. Just in case if you have any question, queries, doubts, you have chat support available on our website, and you have these numbers here. You can feel free and give us a call anytime. With this, dear friends, let's crack on to telecom sector. Now recently our telecom minister Manoj Sinha was asked by some media people regarding the situation going on with Reliance Communication, which is also known as RCom. What is happening actually is that Reliance Communication is shutting down many of its stores around the country. There are many people losing jobs, and the reply that we have got from our minister, he said that there is no issue with telecom sector, particularly when it comes to job, because he gave an example of Jio. He said that Jio stores are working very well. They are in fact opening new stores in different parts of our country. They are employing and recruiting many people. So I don't see any sort of issues here at all with this sector. But the reality is a bit different. If you go through the statement of Anil Ambani, who is the owner of Reliance Communication, he said that in 2016 this sector lost 10,000 people. Basically 10,000 jobs were lost in 2016, and as per Anil Ambani, Reliance Com or RCom, in 2017 nearly 30 to 40,000 people in this sector will lose their jobs. As per a research conducted by Economic Times, one of the most prominent newspaper in our country, it indicates that nearly 1 lakh people will lose their job this year, right? And this includes both direct and indirect jobs. So the figure is quite high here, and recently Tata has decided to sell its telecom operating business to Airtel, and of course this sort of sale and purchase will lead to many job losses too. Now the thing is, if you want to understand, or you want to understand it a bit better, the importance of this sector, then you can understand with the help of this figure. See, the overall contribution of telecom sector in our GDP is 6.25%. Imagine, dear friends, 6.25% is not a small amount. Out of total GDP, 6.25 is a huge number. And if you want to understand it, or if you compare it with the total expense that we as a country do in health and education, then we are not near 6.2%. We are very less when you even add the total money that we spend after health and education. The other thing is that if you compare it with, say for example, agriculture, then the contribution of agriculture to our GDP is 14 to 15%. But the people that are associated with agriculture, the population, you can say the 60%, nearly roughly speaking 60% of Indian population is engaged with agriculture, and see their contribution is just 14 to 15%. But when we talk about telecom sector, 4 million people are working in this sector, that is 40 lakh people, and their contribution is 6.25%. So you can easily imagine that this is a very productive sector. It is also expected, or it is also said that in next 3 years, somewhere around 2020-21, this sector will be contributing 8.2% in our GDP, which is not bad at all, which is a very good thing. And when we talk about this 40 lakh people, right, or 4 million people, nearly 50% of them are directly and the rest 50% are indirectly employed in this sector. Furthermore, dear friends, to understand it or to understand its impact on society or growth, we can use the report of Deloitte. Now, as per the report of Deloitte, it says that 10% substitution from 2G to 3G increases GDP per capita growth by 0.15 points, which is not bad at all. 0.15% is not bad. That means that if 10% people who are using at present 2G, if they switch over to 3G, then this will add GDP per capita to 0.15. If there is a sort of if the data usage doubles, then it will add 0.5% in GDP per capita, and 10% increase in penetration of telecom services like data and mobile phones and things like that in long run will add 4.2% in factor productivity. So here you can see that it has a direct relation with our growth, and when we talk about its impact on our lives, right, then let me give you the example through which you and I are associated with, right? E-education. Right, e-education, it is not possible without this data and telecom services. Apart from that, there are many things. Recently we have launched, India has launched SheBox, isn't it? An online platform through which you can file, the women can file any sort of sexual harassment if they are going through in workplace. And at that point of time, the Minister of Women and Child Development said that digital society is going to empower, it is in fact empowering women, that is 50% of our population, roughly speaking, and the other services that are associated with it. You can pay your bills and things like that. You can watch all these entertainment videos, and let me tell you that entertainment videos, many of you would be considering that it is a waste of time or things like that, but let me tell you that if you see it from economic perspective, then the whole entertainment industry is one of the highest taxpayer, right? So a huge amount of revenue for the government comes from this entertainment industry, and it has been possible. Telecom sector has made it possible for this entertainment business to cater to huge amount of people. Nowadays, those days are gone that you have to stay in front of a stupid box or television. If you want to watch any movie or any program, you can watch everything on your personal screen, that is your mobile phone. And there are other examples as well, like let me give you this last one, and there are other ones. If you want to add, you can share your examples as well in the comment section of this lecture. Now, e-health, right, this is a thing that about which I'm quite excited, because see, what is going to happen in near future is that if you are suffering from any disease, say for example, and if you want to consult someone or a doctor that is in California, all you have to do is go online, visit his or her website, make an appointment, pay the fees online, everything is done. You will get an appointment, and if as far as you have good connectivity, right, as far as both of you are having a good quality webcam and things like that, so that you would be able to get a sort of consultancy service, or you would be able to benefit from this doctor professional service from that particular doctor. And now lab reports and everything would be synced, right? So if you go visit a lab for that report, then that report will directly go to your doctor. And when we talk about the issue that we face in rural India, we know that most of the doctors, because of various reasons, they prefer to work in urban setup, right? The reasons could be different. It's not that they are doing it for some other purpose, but anyways, we are seeing a sort of gap. There is a gap in primary healthcare in our country, and this can be filled with the help of this e-health. So the rural people, they don't have to travel to urban area for a sort of consultancy and things like that. They can get everything online. So you can imagine the way it will change, and so far it has drastically changed our life too. And based on these things, we can clearly say that this sector has definitely, right, it has taken our country into 21st century. And the impact of 1995 liberalization and the entry of this private telecom service providers in our country has created a sort of situation of competition between them, and this has eventually benefited the customers. And other thing that has been said by many experts is that the GDP growth, right, on an average from last many years, we are somewhere around 6%. We are clocking 6% GDP growth every year. This would not have been possible if we would not have this sort of mobile and telecom penetration, right? Imagine if we were not having, just in case if we would not have this sort of facilities, then we would be sub 1% GDP. Our growth rate would be sub 1%. So you can imagine its impact on this thing as well. And at present in India, we have billion plus users, and 40% of internet users, right, are accessing internet via their mobile phone. So this is an overall growth and importance of its impact and importance of this telecom sector in our life and in our development and growth. With this having said that, dear friends, the things are not that good with this sector at present, because the thing is that if you check the books, right, when I say books, I mean to say the accounts, and mostly you check it with the help of their balance sheet. You have asset on one side and you have liability on the other side. Now let me briefly explain you what liability and asset is all about. Say for example, the money that you have in your bank account, the money that you have earned, or the profit, or your assets like your car and your business premises, all these things fall within your assets. These things are yours. But if you have borrowed a loan from someone, then you have to pay it back to someone, right, to that person or that institution at some point of time. So this is a liability. That means that money that you have to pay back. This will help you in understanding the things that we are going to discuss in next slide. Anyways, the scenario at present is that, dear friends, that the total debt of this telecom sector is somewhere around rupees 5 lakh crore, and the revenue that it is generating is 1.8 lakh crore rupees. So if I break it down and if I tell you in a layman's language, then I can say that you have to pay someone 5 lakh rupees, but the money that is going out is 5 rupees is going out, but you are making just 2 rupees. So there is a gap of 3 rupees, and if the things are going on the way it is at present, then this gap is going to widen a bit. It may become 4 or 5, and this will increase too. So this is the situation, and this is happening with a sector that is the second highest revenue earner for the government after income tax. Can you imagine that? There are so many points which I have presented in front of you that indicates the importance of this sector and the gross liability at present. Now you can understand what liability is all about. It is 7,75,000 crore rupees as of March 31st, 2017. With this, dear friends, the dream of our country, right, the dream of our government to provide internet facilities and other facilities to each and every person in our country or in the nook and corner of our country will shatter down. We won't be able to achieve this dream if this telecom sector is going on, or if we find the books in red. Then it is we are not going to fulfill this digital India dream. And with this, the smart city, right, as well will come down, and these two things will, of course, affect crores and crores of people of our country. They want to be able to enjoy all the rights, you can say, nowadays. In fact, in Kerala, having access to internet is also legally a right to access internet. So you can say that they want to be able to enjoy the things that are being enjoyed by the other people in different parts of the world. Now the thing is, dear friends, as I told you, that it will help you understanding the other sector or its impact, right? The ripple effect that this telecom sector will have on the other sectors, and it is the biggest one, or one area of our country you can say will get severely damaged by this thing is banks, right? We know recently government is trying its level best to keep the neck of these banks out of water, because the banks are facing a huge challenge of non-performing assets. Again, I will take you to here, right? Non-assets means the bank has money in his hand, and bank has given someone else money as a loan, and if that asset is not producing anything, that is known as non-performing assets. So basically we have seen that the SBI chief Ms. Bhattacharya has written a letter to Telecom Secretary, and she has said that we have given huge amount of money to the telecom sector, and if government is not sorting out the issues through which this telecom sector is going through, then it is going to damage us as well. We are also going to be severely affected by it, and the banks are already facing this huge NPA challenge, and it is not only a challenge for the banks, but it is a matter of worry for the government and for the whole economy too. With this, dear friends, the main thing is that many people say that because of the entry of Jio, things are going wrong, because Jio at present, you know that they are providing free calls and things like that, and the rates are quite cheap as well when you compare it with other companies. Now the thing is, what Jio has done, or why they are fighting with each other, these telecom companies, because the entry of Jio has created a problem with this thing called MTC, that is mobile termination charges. What it is all about, say for example, here is a best example here. So if a consumer with service provider A1, so here is a service provider, that name is A1. From A1, if you are calling someone else on another service provider, that is B1, so this A1 company has to pay some sort of money as this MTC for allowing these two networks to get connected with each other. So for example, if you have to pay, if your charges are rate per minute is 1 rupees per minute, right, your calling charges are 1 rupees per minute, then somewhere around 20 paisa or maybe 25p will go to this B1, right? But because Jio is offering everything for free, everything, when I say everything, I mean to say that these callings are free, so Jio is saying that we don't have to pay anything to you because we don't charge anything from our customer. And if you go through the revenue model of Vodafone and Airtel, then nearly 40%, 47%, nearly 50% of their revenue model or their business model or the money they make is from this calling thing. So if they are not going to make anything out of it, right, then this is going to create a very sort of catastrophic situation for their business too. So this is the main issue, and it's not that it is only the Jio that has done. Of course, the entry of Jio has created a sort of hyper competition in the market, but as I told you earlier on as well, that entry of any new player, if the competition is open competition, then you can come out with any sort of business model that you like, as far as you are not creating any sort of monopoly. We have laws and things like that for it as well, but here we can say that this entry of Jio has of course brought a sort of hyper competition, but this is not the only reason. The bigger blame goes to the government's policy. What is happening is that government is charging huge amount of money, huge amount of fees on revenue share license, and you have to pay a huge amount of money with your spectrum usage charges as well, which are known as SUC. And if you go back a little bit, in 2010 everything was fine, right, but the introduction of this auction has changed the things, because auctioning spectrum adds a thing called acquisition cost as well for the company, and this, with accompanied by license fee and SUC, is adding more and more money. Means you can say there is a pile of things that you have to pay. And if you compare it with other countries, we can see here that the cumulative tax that our telecom sector companies has to pay to the government is 33%, but in China it is 22%, in USA it is 17%, and in European Union it is, the total tax that they have to pay is 20%. So here you can see that Indian companies are paying huge amount of money to the government. At the same time, you have WhatsApp as well, which is not paying any sort of tax or levies to the government, but then as well they are able to provide this free calling and text messaging and other things. With this, dear friends, if you see the money that an Indian telecom company will make from one user, it is on an average $2.5, right? But when you compare the rates of China, then Chinese company make on an average $8.36, USA 38.09, and Canada 49.84. So here again, when you compare these two these two tables, then you find that at one point you have to pay a higher amount of tax, but the money that you can make because of various reasons, it's quite low because of hyper competition and WhatsApp and other things. But the other countries, they pay less tax. Other countries, when I say, I mean to say that the telecom providers in other countries, right, they pay less tax, but they make huge amount of money. So this is one of the reason why they are in healthy position. The other thing is that because of all this less money coming in and taxes up and things like that, has created a situation in which we find our telecom companies today. And what is happening in fact is that when you see this adjusted gross revenue, which is known as AGR, right, in 2007, around this point of time, this AGR grew by 30%, and the payout to the government was 11%. So here you can see that the telecom companies were able to make something out of it. But in 2016, right, this AGR grew by what, 6.8, and the money going out is 24%. In 2017, the scenario is in minus 1.65%, but the payout is going to increase to 32%. This is one of the reasons why the erstwhile or the former Telecom Secretary J.S. Deepak has recently written a personal letter. Right, when I say personal, I mean to say that he has taken a stand and he has written a letter to the TRI chairman R.S. Sharma. He has expressed his pain. He has also indicated that if the government is not going to sort out this issue of telecom sector, then of course it is going to take with it banks and the whole economy. Government has of course taken some steps. Government has formed a sort of inter-ministerial group. This is known as IMG, and setting up of this IMG can be said that government is aware about the issue that are going on with this telecom sector, though telecom minister is not accepting it. But government has formed this group, and they had some discussions with each other, all the stakeholders and Geo and other experts, and you had other companies like Airtel and Vodafone and Reliance Com, Arcom and other companies. They took part in this brainstorming session with the government, and eventually they presented their own demand. They said that these are the issues that through which we are going through. They presented their views and their situation to this IMG, and IMG has came out with some short-term and long-term measures, and they are it has recommended that this levies was like annual license fee and spectrum usage charges should be lowered. It has also said that this goods and service tax GST that is applicable on this telecom sector at present is 18%. It should be lowered as well. And I must add here, dear friends, that see, nowadays you cannot say that having a mobile phone or access to data is a sort of luxury. Not at all. It is a part of our need, isn't it? We can do many things if we have good connection and if we have access to data at reasonable price, of course, and the more we have seen the report of Deloitte and things like that, so you can safely say that the more penetration, the more data access people will have, they are going to be productive, they will add more value to our GDP, and eventually government will get enough money in their pocket as well. So with this GST, just like any other necessary items or essential items or services, government should lower it down either to 0%, or there should be no GST at all on these services, or they can keep it at 5%. But 18% is going to be too much because at present we know the scenario is very bad. The other thing is that this IMG has also recommended that deferring of spectrum auction to the next fiscal. It has also said that regarding this payment of auctioned spectrum, there should be more time given to this telecom companies, installments and things like that, and if there are any loans and things like that, then the interest rates should be reduced too. There should be a cut in interest rates too. So these are the recommendations, but these recommendations are not, no doubt they are going to be helpful in this depth scenario, but they are not going to sort out this fundamental concern, right? How they are going to operate in future and things like that. So in closing remark, I would like to add here that if we go back in 90s, right, in late 90s, then it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government. They came out with a fixed license fee model to a revenue share arrangement under this public policy doctrine, and this has helped a lot this telecom sector. It was bleeding at that point of time, but it was not it was a bit in a bad situation. At present it is not that bad, so it's not going to be that difficult for the government if there is a political will and if they really want to sort this problem out. The other thing is that the need of the hour is, you know, that it is the second highest source of revenue for the government, but for time being and for the betterment of the whole country, the government should not look this spectrum and this telecom sector as a revenue generator. In fact, it should look it as a sort of essential service, and with this other things will grow, and our economy will develop, or our nation will develop, and our economy will grow. And in the end, I would like to say that we should allow, the government should allow innovative ideas. If it is going to eventually help consumers and customers, then this should be allowed to, this idea should be allowed to fructify in our country. And if there are any sort of predatory models and things like that, then of course the government should block them and get rid of these things. With this having said that, dear friends, I believe that now you are well aware about the issues that are going on in telecom sector in our country. And with this again, I would like to remind all of you that this 35% off is going to last only for a couple of days. So if you haven't got our pen drive and tablet courses, do it as soon as possible, dear friends. We won't be able to give you any off after once these dates are over. Having said that, please do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Do share these lectures that we share with you with other people as well. You can share it on your social networking sites and WhatsApp and Telegram. You can share it. Feel free to share it, right? It will help eventually to have a good quality education to other people as well. Give us your like if you have learned something out of it, right? If you have learned the presentation and everything that we have talked about, then please do give us your like. It will encourage us to produce more quality stuff for you guys. And pass your comments, pass your suggestions, right? If you have more ideas regarding the impact of digital society in the life of people at large, then I would love to hear from you. With this, I end this discussion. I will see you all soon with a new topic. Till then, enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.